Hi, and welcome to this edition of May in the Closet. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about where I went, what I did, but not fun things like vacation vlog. I'm talking about I was in a mental institution, in and out of 2 different ones for 6 months, and I still try to be a role model. So a little bit about me. My name's May. My pronouns are them and they. I'm non-binary. And I have Tourette syndrome. I have a service dog I work with. His name is Damian. I'm not going to call him, though, because he's sitting on the other side of the closet. He would not just sit down and behave. So, you can enjoy your bone out there. Back to me. I am going to give a major trigger warning because I talk about suicide attempts in here, and I talk very candidly about why I have PTSD to the most comfortable level I can be in. I'm going to comfortably sit on a shirt because the bones of my feet are smacking into this ground. Much better. Cool. So on Labor Day, September 7th of 2020, I tried to jump off a bridge and I was talked out of it, which is good. So I went home and I gave my keys and my wallet to my mom and I said, I just tried to kill myself. And she said, okay. And I was like, dope, cool, really cared for. She was obviously worried, but what are you gonna do? So I went upstairs and I got blasted high. I got really high. And I saw my doctor the next day. And my high Tourette's ass just announced I tried to jump off a bridge last night. And I think I even called her that night and was like, hey, Dr. Podgy, guess what I just tried to do? Die. And so when she saw me the next day, she was pretty quick and pretty right to say you need to go to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room and figured I'd kind of talk it down. I was like, yeah, I was feeling really suicidal, but I feel better now. And they're like, did you attempt? I'm like, well, I didn't jump off the bridge. And then they urine tested me and I was really high. And then they're like, okay, you've got some issues. You're also on 12 medications. So I was wheeled up after 14 hours in the emergency room up to 6 North, which is the 6th floor of Fairfax INOVA Hospital, which is the mood unit, the psychiatric unit. And I was there for 78 days. Yeah, that's a long time. The average stay is about 6. They try and get you in and out in a week. And when I hit 2 weeks, my doctor stopped trying to contact them and figure out how long I was going to be there for. She knew I must have done something stupid. I did on September 9th. So I came in, tried to kill myself the 7th, came in the 8th, was in the emergency room the whole day, then brought up at 3 p.m. September 9th, I hung myself in the hospital. Didn't work. So I was assigned to a doctor the next day, and they came in, and I woke up, I was waking up, and I had a one-on-one. I had a staff member constantly watching me. And just so you know, a one-on-one is literally a one-on-one, where I'm one of the people, and they are constantly watching me. Poop, shower, sleep, breathe, cry, everything I do, they have to watch. And they take notes every 15 minutes on what I'm doing. So if you want to feel like a hospital patient, get a one-on-one. Try and kill yourself in the shower. That'll work. Not. Don't do that. So I met Dr. Iron, who was a resident doctor student. They were studying at a local university, a really nice university. I mean, this human is smart. And their name was Rose Alasko. And why do I call them Dr. Iron them? Well, funny you should ask. This Alasko means iron in Polish. So my Tourette's is like, Dr. Iron Man. Cool. And then later, I found out, the next day when they asked me my pronouns, I'm like, oh, she, her. I was like, what about you? And they're like, oh, they, them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not a man. You're Dr. Iron them. And they were like, I like that. So we kept it forever, and I called them by nothing else. So Rose Alasko, Dr. Iron them, was my doctor and helped me balance all my medications to get me down from 12 to 4. And wrote the protocol for my tic seizures, and at one point kind of became the only doctor on the floor because everybody's family was dying of COVID, and then they're like, take it away, Ro. Dr. Iron that was like, this is fine. This is all fine. And they did it. They took care of all of us, and they did a great job. So anyways, yes, they had help, obviously. No one just leaves one resident doctor to a whole floor. But it felt that way. They spent a lot of time working with me and helped me evaluate my life and helped me balance my medications and helped me come out about gender. And the reason why I came out about gender then was because I was afraid to come out before, because my good friend Laura was coming out as non-binary, and I didn't want to take their gender thunder, which apparently you cannot do. So I came out as non-binary, and I changed my name from Emily. My name. Wanna watch me do it? No, watch me name. These are all ticks, by the way. I'm not trying to do any of this. Okay, I'm done. Okay, cool. That was nice. Oh, popped my shoulder being racist on accident. I love that. I stand that. And so I changed my name from Emily to May, and I went from she to they, and it was a lovely little story. And then around day 65, I started calling residentials big time. I mean, like, Dr. Iron then was helping, like, look up on their own time residentials, and I called 10, and I got rejected from 8. One of them was an addiction center that clearly just wanted my money and didn't actually want to help me. And then I found Solara. Surprise, that's where I was for 3 months. That's in my vlogs where you see my room, where you see me at the beach or at the bay and all that. That's in San Diego. So I went to Solara Mental Health, which is a psychiatric facility dealing mostly with people with trauma and suicidality and whatever, and it's a safe place to stay. And I had a solo room because I had a roommate, but I was in the behind room, and I kept having seizures, and people had to keep rushing in, waking them up again and again and again, and I am so sorry. So they moved me to a private room, which was very nice. Do I feel guilty about it? A little bit. I was there for 3 months. For the first 2 months, things were rocky as fuck. I mean, I was having multiple seizures a day. I was having trouble walking. I was having attitude problems. I was dissociating a lot. If you don't know what dissociation is, basically your body tries to save itself from trauma by making you forget where you are, what you're doing, how old you are, everything. You're just stuck in a totally different brain. I would do that for hours a day. And so they told me at the end of month 2, they said, all right, you clearly need more help, and we're willing to be that help, but there are some rules. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm getting kicked out. This is my nightmare. I'm getting kicked out. They're going to make me sleep on the beach with the homeless people who I just wanted to help. Seriously, if you guys can work at a local homeless shelter or a kitchen, or just, spare some change, that's really great. It makes a difference in a lot of people's lives. But anyways, I was afraid I was going to get kicked out. And they said, you can stay another month, but here's the deal. You already have the private room. We're going to make a deal with you, helping me with finances. And I can't tell you what they did or what they charged or how we did it. But basically, please enter Damien, my service dog. This is Damien. Sit. And he helps me with Tourette's and seizures and PTSD. And he is my biggest support and the man in my life. And so he spent therapy with me there and everything. And okay, get out. Go. I know you do that. Hi, welcome to In My Closet. Am I upside down or backwards? I honestly don't remember. And so you have therapy at Solara from 10 to 4 every day, except for you have a half day on Saturdays and you're off on Sundays. And they have things like Reiki, yoga, meditation, anger management, which I totally didn't need, creative writing, art therapy, essential oil therapy. That was cool. They have a lot of therapies. And you go to it, it's like school. There's like group A and group B, and then the groups switch, and we had a women's issues group and a men's issues group, and then an LGBTQIA plus group, because we got issues too. And everybody called me May, and no one ever slipped up on my pronouns, and they just accepted that I was non-binary and that this is how I identify. Here's where I talk about things that were traumatic. I talked about events that happened when I lived in a developing country at a young age and brutalities I saw. I talked about my father's suicide. I talked about being there at my best friend's brother's suicide. I talked about sexual traumas that I had, and I have never discussed that on this channel and never will. That's pretty much as you guys are ever getting, is that I had sexual trauma, and I had a lot, and a lot of it was around the age of 14. So the only thing worse than being a brat to begin with is thinking you're dissociated at 14 and being even more of a brat. And I would like wake up out of these dissociations and everyone would be so frustrated and I would have no clue what was going on. And they'd be like, May, how old are you? And I'd be like, I'm 22, you fucking idiot. And they'd be like, thank goodness. And I was like, why? What happened? And they're like, you were 14. And no, I don't have dissociative identity disorder or multiple personality disorder. I just have complications from trauma where my brain tries to save me by making me forget things. And so Damien helped me with a lot of that. He would wake me up out of them, and he would make sure that I was okay. The staff is hands off, so they can't hug you. They can't, like, pat you on the head. I don't know why they would do that. And if you try to run away, they cannot physically restrain you. It's a no-touch facility, but when yours truly drops on the floor and has a seizure, they gonna need to have physical contact with you. My watch just beeped. So they would put things like pillows under my head, or one time a shoe. It worked pretty well. They would help with protecting the bottom of my feet. They made me have a regulation where I have to wear knee pads. I'm wearing knee pads. You can't tell. Yeah. This should be the thumbnail. I'm just kidding. Was that the thumbnail? Probably not. And yeah, that, I had to wear gloves, and I had to have closed-toed shoes, and when I went outside, I had to have sunglasses because I have sensory issues, and my eyes closed, and I can't see where I'm going. I have to grab onto people once I grabbed onto a stranger, so I had to wear sunglasses and gloves and knee pads and closed-toed shoes and blah, 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 blah. I had to take Damien everywhere I went, which is kind of what his job was, so when he was there, and I was like, no, I don't want his help, they're like, okay, so you're going to pay $9,000 for a dog and then refuse to use him. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, no, go to your room. I'm like, I'm 22, you can't send me to my room. And then they're like, go to your room. And I was like, okay, fine, but it's my idea. And then I got in trouble because I shouted at staff one time. So if you're the nurse and you're watching this, you're not, but I'm really sorry I yelled at you. And then I had 3 staff members who I called the B's. Their initials are S, J, and K. And boy, did I put them through hell. But they helped me through so much. And the social worker helped me get my life together for my after plans, which involved me coming to Oklahoma and working for my service dog company for a few months before I go back home to Northern Virginia. And I'm going to finish my associates, finally. And yeah, then I'm going to figure out what I'm doing with my life. But if it weren't for Solara, and if it weren't for the hospital, I wouldn't be alive. And if it weren't for Solara, I wouldn't be setting up a life. So I'm just going to finish up this video by giving like a quick review of Solara. If I had to give it out of 10 stars, I'd give it like 8.75. I take off 1 star because the food is shite. I take off 0.25 of a star because there's always complications. There's always something going on. But the thing you need to be mindful of... Damien, can you chew that bow quieter? The things that you need to be very sensitive to is the fact that they have a facility with a lot of people to take care... Not a lot of people, but they have other people to take care of. So if you're going to sit in their office and complain for 4 hours, you're not going to get much therapy done, and they're not going to be able to tend to the other people. And because they're understaffed. And because they have this one therapist who, a girl was having a panic attack, and I don't know what the lecture was, but he goes on to the next slide, and there's a picture of milk, and she's like rocking and having a panic, and he goes, milk, milk, milk. And she goes, what do you mean? And like leaves the room. I was like, I would have the same reaction. So, that was my time at Solara. Thank you for everyone, and, please enjoy these pictures of my time at Solara. Actually, no, because I can't show pictures of it. You've seen the vlogs. Alright, thank you for being in my closet with me. Bye.